The Drug Alternative Program presents Drugs Close to Home. Your weekly insight into the ongoing stories of struggle, victory, and the spiritual renewal of rehabilitation. Each week, Cliff and Freddie Harris, co-founders of the Drug Alternative Program, would like to introduce you to the many people who have touched their lives through their spirit-filled ministry. But most of all, they would like to share with you the blessings they continue to receive from Jesus Christ. And now, your hosts of Drugs Close to Home, Cliff and Freddie Harris.
Welcome to Drugs Close to Home, a program about the destruction that drugs causes our families.
And the power of Jesus Christ that heals them. We believe every life is worth saving.
And Freddie, that is so true, because every changed life is a miracle from God.
Amen. You know, Cliff and I have favorite texts. Your favorite text is what?
Psalms 51.
And you know, as a result of him loving that text so much, we have adopted it as the DAP, Drug Alternative Program theme.
And you know, I want to read just a portion of that chapter, Psalms 51. I'm going to read verse 9 through 13. And this is from the Clear Word. I like the Clear Word because it makes more meaningful to me. And it says, "Don't look at my sins. Blot out my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and put a right spirit within me. Don't ask me to leave your presence, and don't take away the Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and grant me a willing heart to obey you. Then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners will turn back to you."
And that's what you're doing, honey. You're teaching
Praise
these
the
guys.
Lord.
You know,
Yes.
my favorite text is Psalms 34:8. It says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts him." And I adopted that when my sister Sterling and I went to Jamaica. Such a beautiful place, and I saw all these beautiful flowers and different kinds of fruits, the star apple, all these kinds of fruits that I had never tasted. And when I tasted all of them, you know, I just thought of that text, "Oh, taste and see." And not only have I tasted physical, but I have tasted spiritual food from God, and it has really been a blessing to me.
Yes, he's good. Put this over there for
Okay.
me, Freddie. My glasses too.
Who do we have as our guest
We
today?
have a special guest with us today, Sabas. Yes. Sabas, what's your last name?
Leon.
Leon.
Sabas Leon
Yes.
is a brand new client to Drug Alternative Program, and we are just excited for you to tell your story to our audience. So tell us about you.
Okay. Well, I was born in Watsonville, California. I have two older sisters, and it's just me as a boy. And growing up, my parents worked a lot, and basically they left our sisters alone and left us at home. And my older sister would take care of us while they would work. And my parents struggled to give us a middle class kind of life a little. You know, we still were in the poor and middle class, you could say. And then when I can remember, my mom and my dad, well, my mom's the first one that started getting preached into the Seventh-day Adventists. And then my dad followed, my sisters as well. And me, I was just kind of a little rebellious as growing up, and didn't really like it as much. And then there was a time when they put us, when we were kids, they put all the Hispanic kids from the church, my mom's church, the Adventist church, they put them in the school.
Church school.
Church school. And so my mom decided to take us out of the public school and put us in there, which I didn't like because I had all my friends in there. And then, and so it was something new for all of us, especially for the teachers and especially for us. They had the first time they had Hispanic kids in there, and it was just a bunch of us. And so we were just all wild and stuff, and especially myself. And so they didn't know how to deal with us. And so then I got really defensive.
Not deal with them, especially deal with you.
Exactly.
That's
How many
it.
children were in the class?
Of us, there was probably like about maybe over 15 of us in the
Oh,
class.
yeah.
It was called, I can't remember the school's name, but it was up in Santa Cruz. And anyways, so the teachers really didn't understand or how to deal with me. So, and I would cuss a lot, and I would, I would tell them
In
off.
other words, you just was rebellious.
Yes.
How old were you?
Hard-headed, didn't want, and not only the teachers, just parents. You didn't obey nobody.
I didn't
Didn't
obey
want to do
nobody.
nothing. Nobody asked you to do.
Exactly. So I was probably when I went to school there, I probably was like in third grade, fourth grade. And so then I got kicked out of there by like my fourth grade. They didn't want me no more. They told my parents and my sisters. I think they still kept going. I can't remember, but they didn't want me back.
Well,
So-
tell us a little bit about your family. Tell me about your father.
My dad is a person that was a person because my father passed away in 1994. He was he used to go to church. My dad was an alcoholic before going to church and stuff like that. My mom had a lot of struggles. My mom put up a lot with him. So my mom was like the father. She was the head of the household. My dad would get home, have his check, and just not even give it to her. And even take her check as well and just waste it all. My mom would tell me and stuff. So I remember all this stuff. And so then my dad would never be the type to discipline me. He would never be. He just was a person there, and I would get in so much trouble. I mean, I would say, like, this time, I know my dad's going to whip me. This time.
So you would do things just to get him to whip
Yes.
you?
I would do things, and my mom, I never told anybody, about these things, and I always would crave for his attention, but my dad never did. And my dad's had his faults, he would have his setbacks where he would go and drink, and even when he was already in the church, he would have his times, and I remember him, and my mom would always tell me, "Oh, I'm so glad that you don't remember when your dad drank." And but I do. I
do
remember that,
remember.
and I would hold that against her. And
In
I'd
other
be like,
words, she was hoping that you
yeah,
wouldn't remember.
I wouldn't remember.
Because at your young age, she didn't think you knew.
Exactly.
And I can relate to that,
Yeah.
I was thinking my children didn't know, but
Yeah.
they knew.
And so then I started growing up hating my dad. Not really because he wasn't there, didn't discipline me. Then I would see that. Then he'd go back to church, and I would always think to myself, "What a hypocrite! Why does he, do that?" But now I could understand where there's forgiveness if you really believe it. Now that I've come here to DAP, but before I came to DAP, I never believed that. So I still have a lot of things to work with that. Even I'm learning with what you guys teach me. My counselor, Julie, teaches me, and it's just something that I have to learn and have to make amends with myself and God, because I feel guilty when I would feel guilty when I would always curse my dad, and I never cried for him in his funeral. My father was the only funeral I ever went to in all my life, of my friends, grandparents, uncles, anybody that I could remember.
Well, where were you at all these times? Where were you?
Most of my times I was in prison, Mr. Harris.
So tell us how much time have you spent in prison?
Between all the times I've been 10 years, Mr. Harris.
Tell us a little bit about your life in prison. What was it like in prison?
Prison is very, it's hard, Mr. Harris. It's something that sometimes I really don't like talking about, but it's mostly, if you get in, you can understand that it's like a pyramid scheme, kind of like you have to move up in the ranks and kind of just learn how to respect other people's, and just, it's hard, trying to try to stay away from trouble, get in trouble, and it's very hard because someone like me at the beginning was very hard for me to go by the rules, what they said.
Okay, let me think of this here. Now here you were, a rebellious child coming up. Nobody, I'm not going to do what anybody tells me to do. I'm going to curse you out. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, right?
Yes, sir.
So what it was like when you first went in there. Tell me an incident, you know, when they go in, they have you to do certain things and you refuse to do it, right?
Yes,
I can't talk about it on the TV, but some of you who have been to prison out there can understand and relate what I'm saying.
The first time that when I went in, they put you inside and they check you, take showers, and before they set you into your houses or RDU, where they kind of give you an evaluation of where your mind is at, and if you need something or medication, or if you got TB shots or whatever. The first thing that they do is they ask you to give you a cavity search, and a lot of those is basically you have to kind of it's a degrading kind of thing where they check you everywhere. And then they told me, and I said I wouldn't do it, cussed them out. And they told me, they set me aside. And when you ready to do it, I said no. I said it about 6 times. So no, you're going to go to the hole if you don't go do this. And I said, I don't care. You're not going to make me do it. I'm my own man. So I went into the hole right off the bat. And
How long?
I was in there for 6 days.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't do it. I did it, and it's just because I was trying to be just stubborn, hard-headed. I wasn't going to play by their rules. I was going to play by my own rules. And just to get a reputation as I was going into as well. Going in there, people knew me already.
And you are a tough man.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. And so that got me a reputation as I went in. Everybody, found out in the yard. And so at the time, I didn't understand how stubborn I was and how prideful I was. And I'm understanding that pride is the thing that's going to get me.
Now, in all of this, you said that you didn't like prison. You don't like to talk about it.
No, I don't, Mr. Harris.
But we kept going back.
Yes.
You kept going back. When you get out, you go right back and do the same thing again, and you're going to go back. So what is that? Now, help me with this, because I can relate to it. So let me see what you're going to say.
Well, I think it's when you get out, you kind of forget or it's basically you have no. I had no focus in life. I had no set future or anything that I thought that was gonna, I didn't have anything to go out to. All I had to go out to was old friends and old habits. And as soon as I would get out, I'd forget.
Right.
Give me a week and I'd be done. I'd be like, oh, you know what? I could run. One time I told my probation officer or parole officer, you know what? I'm using, the chase is on, I'm gonna get high until you catch me. See when you catch me. And you're
so, see, that rebellious has gotten you nowhere in life. Nowhere.
No, it hasn't, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
We're going to stop right now and take a break. And when we come back, we want to talk about your DA, Drug Alternative Program experience. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Growing up, there wasn't a lot of love. Didn't have a father. My mother was an addict. And so when I came here, I experienced a lot of security, a lot of love, tough love, and that's what I needed, is what I was seeking out, and the Lord helped me to get to a place where that existed.
Drug Alternative Program, it's a different kind of place that you can really see the difference that it's making both in the clients and in the staff members who themselves were clients themselves at some point. And so the difference that it's making in my life because of its structure and the way it's built is something that I'm excited to think about my future about.
The impact that DAP have given me as an individual is I'm accepted, I'm cared for, and I'm loved. And that was something I kind of gave up on, before I got here.
Welcome back.
Before we go any further, I want to tell you, give us a call, because on this program, I know there's someone out there that we can relate to Sabas' story. So give us a call if you need some help, and we want to hear from you. Thank you.
Okay, Sabas, we wanted to talk about how you found out about Drug Alternative Program.
Drug alternative program. It's interesting how I found out about it because when these last times when I was using, I was pretty out of control already, and the good thing about it was that I wasn't on no probation anymore. I wasn't parole. I wasn't in the system anymore. So I was using drugs, drinking, and just trying to keep it undercover between my family. But then, as you could tell, as any drug addict knows, I mean, you could only control it for so long, where it starts getting out of control, and you could lose your job. Well, you will lose. I mean,
You can only hide it
so long, exactly.
Were you working?
Yes, I
at
was
the same
working.
time?
I was working. You see, I have 2 boys, and I would take care of them.
How old are they?
My boys are 5 and 6 and 5, and so I had lost my job, and so what I was doing was asking people for money. You know, just kind of asking them. I would lie to them, say I needed to pay a bill, I needed to do this.
How did you lose your job?
I just one day didn't show up. I didn't feel like going anymore. I felt like getting high, and told my family, you know what, they fired me. I made it seem like I was a victim, and it was actually me that decided not to go no more. Today's a better day to get high than go to work, and so as that went on, I ran out of people to ask money for because I owed everybody money, so I couldn't ask anybody anymore. And so what I was doing, I was starting to grab things here and there from the family and things that they wouldn't really recognize and stuff. But I would never, ever touch my dad's stuff, ever, ever. That's one thing that I never did. I would, I held inside me as saying, I'm not going to get that stuff. Even though I had these resentments towards my dad and everything.
I still had respect for him.
I had still respect for the stuff because I knew that my mom held it in value for it. That was something that she held value for. So she had it in the storage at her house.
What did she have?
She had tools. My dad was kind of like a person that would go to yard sales and get stuff, and mom would get mad at him and why'd you buy this? But in actuality, it had use for it. Like he had, but my dad was like a side mechanic. He did things, and he liked working on his cars. He liked doing his own handyman things in the house. He liked buying stuff like that. So he had some valuable stuff. And so then one day, I didn't have nothing, so I just decided, this is it. It's just there. It's collecting dust. In my mind, it started just going, making excuses. Just justifying myself. Yeah, your mom don't need that. She's probably even going to go in the shed and even think that it's gone. She won't even look twice or something. So I went to her house, probably like 1 in the morning, and it was. I knew that she was going to be asleep, and so I went in there, get the keys for the shed, and the TV was on when I walked in, and I was like first thinking, oh, she's probably awake. So I was like, oh man, I'll just go in there because she already, she probably heard me already. So I walked in, but she wasn't there. She was sleeping in her room, and so I started creeping into because I had to pass the living room to get to the kitchen where the keys are at. So anyways, I was gonna get the keys. I seen the TV was on, and the show was on, and the show was the Drugs Close to Home. And I stood there watching it because I seen on the thing it said Drugs Close to Home in a little house on the corner. And so I stood there watching it, and it was you guys and this black guy was sitting there, and he was talking, and he was telling about how he got chased down in New York, got beat up, and the story kind of got to me. It was like, it was an interesting story, and so I stood there watching it. Next thing you know, I sat down and just started watching the show, forgot about what I was doing there. And I just sat there and I looked at it. And so in the next morning, I found out your guys' number and I called you guys.
But there was something unusual about that program. It was in English.
Yes.
And your mom doesn't speak English. She only speaks Spanish.
Yes.
So that was a providential divine appointment for you, Sabas, and for you to take the time from wanting to steal and sit down and watch our program for 30 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, that was just God.
Yes, because the thing is that not till I got here I realized that, because at the time, I asked you guys if I could come, and then you guys said, you need, if you want to come, you guys asked me questions, and I asked me if you're serious. Mr. Harris asked if I was serious, and I was, yes, I'm serious, but at the time when somebody says they're serious, at the time when you call, you're calling and hoping that you guys don't answer. That's how it was for me. Man, I hope they don't answer. I hope they don't answer. And next thing you know, you guys answer. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, hello, is this a drug? And I start talking to you guys. And you guys ask me all these questions. And Mr. Harris, are you serious, man? And I'm like, yes, I am. And so then, even then, wasn't serious about it. I was still kind of, iffy about it. Even to the day that I was coming, the Greyhound ticket was paid, everything. My sisters, even to that, my sisters helped me out. Even there, they still have love. My family still has some love, even though I burned a lot of bridges. I've been burning bridges all my life. And I realized that even that's something that I learned in DAP here. It's just that you need to make amends to people. You need to find a relationship with God, because that's the thing. And the thing that I think the Lord helped me with was making the decision to come.
And I remember when you called, I think you said, well, I think I've got to get detox first.
Yes.
I'm going to do that before I come.
Yes.
You called.
But what he did was, I was gonna, okay, well, go get detoxed. But then he said to me on the phone, no, I think I better come, because if I don't, I won't make it. I
Right.
won't come at all.
Right.
And see, that's something I gathered from you. I was impressed with you. No, I gotta come. You said, no, I must come now.
Yes.
And we as addicts, I want to talk to some of you out there. You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do, but you know what you don't want to do, and that is get away from your drug. You don't want to let it go, but you must make that decision. And that's why I admired about you. I was impressed with you when you said, no, I think I really need to come now, because if I don't make this move now, I won't come at all.
Yes. Because the day I remember that, I remember telling you that, because even then I was making excuses to my sister and my mom, and and my sister were like, we know you're not gonna go. My sister was telling me, I know you're not gonna go. It's not the money that, for the Greyhound, I'm gonna lose, if you don't go. It's not. He goes, we're trying to help you out. You need to go. And my mom told me, you need to go. If you want me, he goes, if you don't care about my life, this is what my mom told me that same day when I came. If you don't care about my life, your sisters need me. My grandchildren need me. If you don't need me, they need me. And that kind of hurt, because there's a lot of things that I'm working out. This is something that here in DAP I'm learning. And I come back to that DAP, I'm glad that this program's here, that you guys have this program. I appreciate it, because like in prison, they teach you how to survive. They teach you how to scam, scheme, lie, cheat. You can become that's a university for that. You learn, you get a master's degree and stuff like that when you're in there.
Master's degree.
And so it's, but here, and there you don't learn stuff about God. Here you get help getting out of that the drug addiction. But at the same time, we're getting help in learning to walk with God, be friends with God, have a relationship with Him. I didn't learn that anywhere else, but I'm learning it here. And so, even with my family did I learn that, because the things that happened with my dad, the relationship I had with my ex, is just basically, my life was just a tornado, Mr. Harris. It was just, I was a tornado that's just destroying everything that was in my path. And so when you're in a tornado, you can't see clearly. You don't see nothing. You just see blur, black, rain, everything, and that's how my life was. And I didn't see, I couldn't focus on God. And now that my head is more clear, I could focus on Him. And I think that it will help me in my life, and when I get out, because I know I'm going to graduate. You always tell me, don't ever leave this boat. Whatever happens, don't ever leave this boat, because it's hard here. I'm not going to say that it's not, but we got to stick through it, because it's
Wait a
harder
minute.
out there.
Wait a minute. I want to stop you right there. You make it hard. See how you've made your life? You made your whole life hard.
Yes, Mr. Harris.
But it's not difficult to change if we just say, hey, change our attitude about it. That's all you have to do. And it's easy. It's not that hard to get a relationship with God.
No.
No, we make it hard ourselves. We think it's hard. Yes, from changing from the rules and the discipline. But I want to tell you one thing that I know. Do you have peace of mind?
Right now, I could say I'm getting it. I'm getting peace of mind. I don't have it fully because I'm still struggling with things, and that's what you guys are helping with. That's what the counselors are helping
What
me
are you
with.
struggling with?
Being prideful, prison mentality, that everybody's out to get me, that I need to show with action that I love people, not with words, because that's one thing that I did. I would tell my mom, oh, I love you, Mom, or I tell my sister, even my children. I've learned that from you guys, that every time I'd say I love my children, I wasn't loving them because the things I was doing didn't show no love to them. My actions were showing something different.
That's right.
And so now I need to learn that with my actions, I will show the people that I love them.
Amen.
My family, and and with my actions, I will show God that I love Him as well, because that's the most important person that I need to teach. I need to show that I love. Then everything else will come along. I've learned that here in DAP, and I think that we're all learning it here. Everybody that's in the program, and even the graduates learned that. I've learned that from the graduates. And that graduate that was there, I met him the other day.
Yes, Willie
Yes,
Ashley.
and to me, when I seen him, he was like a movie star to me, because that's the man that I seen, and I was like, and I
Amen.
told somebody else that was in the program, I said, hey man, that's the guy I seen on the show. That's the guy I seen on the
Amen.
show, and it
Amen.
made me excited. But I
Yes.
didn't really want to go meet him at the same time, but it was just something that was really exciting for me, get to meet him and meet his wife, and just things that other graduates and that Mr. Harris and Mrs. Harris have taught me, that how they are and how they act, and how they want me to be, and all of us be. Then if they tell me I have to do this, then I have to go with it, because I mean that's what they're the ones that are following me. And I said that before, Mr. Harris, you're like you say you work as a mason, God gave you that. And now you're working as a mason for men, you're constructing us,
Building lives
building
instead of
lives,
building
yes, sir,
bricks.
for God. So,
Instead
and
of
I
bricks.
appreciate that, so.
Yeah, and
thank
that's
you.
what I wanted to do.
Yes.
Well, Sabas, we really appreciate you sharing your story with us, and I know it's going to help someone else. It's been a blessing, and we see a difference in you here at Drug Alternative Program already.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to Sabas and his story, and thank you for being with us today. And we want you to know that you can call us and let us know if you have someone that needs help or you need help yourself. And we want to say thank you for tuning in today.
And remember, we love you,
And Jesus loves you even more.
and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.